Hello and welcome to Small Town USA, Kane's Wrath, KiMOsaBE starting out as the cyan GDI in the top right side, and BikeRush owns once again as the Reaper 17, Red Reaper 17, dropping down that power plant, throwing down that portal, of course, and we do have both of these players. Interesting. This is a kind of a new development that I'm seeing right here in this game, and both of these players are doing it, which makes me think that the game has changed a little bit, and it does look like both of these players are going to be going for that center ground a little bit. Yes, okay, there we go. But what I wanted to note was throwing down the portal and the barracks in the middle, basically, of that Tiberium field, a nice kind of middle ground to choose. And ooh, are the buzzer squads they need to be getting into those buildings, because no, never mind. If they can take out that engineer, that's going to be far better. But normally what you used to see was barracks over here, and then an additional watchtower to accompany each of those. But it does look like the Tiberium spikes are going to be grabbed by both of these players, absolutely no problems, and their refineries are up. But these buzzer squads need to be getting into these buildings so that they stay alive and can, of course, gather that very valuable scouting information. Because, spoiler alert, if you grab this building and this building, you can see up to basically the entire ring of Tiberium. It is a ridiculous sight range. And now Buzzer Squad going to be able to take out that Rifleman Squad, no problem. And these Riflemen, it doesn't work as well versus Scrim because, hey, they can just get some buzzos. But if you grab, like, this building, and if you grab this building, and then, you know, this building and this building, or vice versa on the other side of the map, and both of these players are taking out the opponent's early infantry squads, you can see so much. You literally have entire map. Basically, anytime anything happens on the entire map, you will see it. And if you grab the buildings that are closest to your opponents, you will see whatever they're doing way, way, way before it gets to your base. They're building orcas, you're going to know about it like 7 seconds before they get to your base. They're sending out an attack force, you're going to know about it like 30 seconds before it gets to your base. You grab these buildings, it is so important. Okay, I don't want to say so important, but it is so nice to have that scouting information. And it does look like we have 2 harvesters out of our cyan and 2 harvesters out of BikeRush. KiMOsaBE, BikeRush, both of them opting to go with only 2 harvesters, and then most likely going to be expanding off to the side. Where did that MCV go? Sold it off. An interesting choice, both of these players. What is this? Is this like sell off your MCV day? Are both of these players just doing super all-in stuff? Because we've got Shatterers and we've got Devourer tanks, which is a really curious combination. Oh, no, the drone platform's right there. Sybert, you idiot, why can't you see anything? Which is about what half of you are probably saying, and you would be absolutely right to say it. And we do have BikeRush going to be doing something a little bit lolsy, a little bit cheesy, depending on who you ask. They're either going to say, oh, it's so funny, or oh, this is the stupidest match ever, because they cheese. And we do have the Shatterers going to be able to do a fair amount of damage, and the Predator tanks going to be able to do a fair amount of damage. And the Corruptor is going to be trying to heal up that Devourer tank so that the Devourer tank can do the damage. I cannot even speak. We do have now 2 harvesters still out of KiMOsaBE. KiMOsaBE kind of did this all in by selling off his MCV, getting that quick cash. But is it going to be worth it? Is he going to be able to use that engineer to, you know, maybe grab a building? Or grab something I did not know. Okay, so the engineer is over here. Looks like he's going to be heading off to the side, which there's not a whole lot here to grab, but these orcas are going to be super annoying and just do a fair amount of damage. And now the drone platform, what's the drone platform gonna do? He could, of course, lift that off. It will take additional damage while it lifts off, but once it's in the air, it will be safe. And it does look like throwing down the beacon with those buzzers. Oh, man, this game is so silly already. We do have KiMOsaBE, BikeRush owns, doing crazy things all day. Both of them did lose their MCV. One, of course, did get the cash back for it. That immediate refund, you don't have to wait 24 weeks. Which, speaking of which, I still haven't got the refund for my graphics card from over 3 years ago. I ordered like a 4870. Got my card, I was supposed to get my refund like, you know, 6 weeks later, and it's like, oh, it's only $4 with your refund. Lightning Spike did go down and was able to take out that Shatterer. but I still haven't gotten my freaking refund. What the heck? Sapphire? I think that's a company. I don't remember. Because, you know. Oh, and if the nerve center goes down, that will be a fairly big deal. No more Devourer tanks, or is it no more Corruptors? I can never remember. I don't play Scrin enough. Now, what do we have? Okay, well, you know, no more Devourer tanks or Corruptors. I was kind of right. But we do have, instead, these Shard Walkers. Of course, the Reaper, instead of Gun Walkers, you get Shard Walkers. But that engineered, in case you missed it, did grab that Tiberium spike. And it does look like, instead of, you know, trying to capture it back, but, you know, he can't capture it back. And instead of, you know, just letting it be, going to be able to take out that Tiberium spike just a little bit. Just a little bit? What? Things that I'm saying, they don't make sense, and I want to know why. But it does look like KiMOsaBE is going to be free to expand over here, down here, wherever he wants, because it's really hard to expand if you don't have an MCV. It's really hard to get an MCV if you don't have Gravity Stabilizer to build an MCV. So, I would say BikeRush is at a disadvantage, but BikeRush, if you didn't know this, he is a really bad player. He's actually literally the worst Kane's Wrath player ever. I beat him in a game, and I was negative 95% handicap. That's how bad BikeRush is. Now, if you take that and you take the exact opposite of that, I don't know that he's that good, but he's a good player, and he could absolutely come out of this game. We have seen some pretty decent micro out of him in the past, overall, and of course some very good, excellent micro in certain battles in the past, and it does look like KiMOsaBE with these Orcas is going to be able to do a huge amount of damage to those Corruptors, able to take out just one, I guess, not able to take out anymore, but these Devourer tanks are going to be able to do a fair amount of damage, and it is absolutely essential that he keeps alive the Corruptors and the Devourer tanks, because he cannot rebuild those. He can rebuild the Seekers, he can rebuild his Shard Walkers, although there are no Seekers here, just the Shard Walkers. Shard Walkers are going to be very, very good versus those infantry. Not so good versus the Predator tanks, but the Predator tanks do excel at killing off the Shard Walkers, killing off the Devourer tanks, but these Corruptors are being so annoying. These Orcas need to be taking them out, but they can't because of the Shard Walkers. Shard Walkers, of course, can shoot that air, and the APC's throwing down the mines, but the little drone's going to be repairing them, and the Gun Walker almost, that Shard Walker almost goes down, and now, and you can see KiMOsaBE is trying to focus down the Corruptors a little bit, but they're just getting healed up, and then they're healing the Devourer tank. They're able to do huge amounts of damage to this army, ridiculous amounts of damage. Where is the expansion going to be happening? Did he sell off that MCV again? Yeah, he sold off that MCV again. So KiMOsaBE, the one who sells off MCVs, he actually never loses an MCV, he just sells off 47 of them. But we do have these Devourer tanks able to do an insane amount of damage, and able to, of course, grab that Tiberium to do additional damage, in these Predator tanks going to be able to clean up these Gun Walkers, as well as with these couple of rocket squads in that building. And rocket squads in buildings are going to be, of course, very useful in this situation. We do have more Gun Walkers in groups of 3 and 4 coming up, but those Corruptors are now gone, and with no drone platform and no nerve center, he cannot rebuild them. Can this Devourer tank escape? What is BikeRush going to do? What is he going to do? Because he's kind of, you know, at the disadvantage, although both of these players are basically mined out in their mains. Difference being, KiMOsaBE can rebuild his MCV and can expand, you know, down here, over here. Remember when I said that like 2 minutes ago? Yeah, he can still do that. But we do have now KiMOsaBE getting his army hugely split up. If there was any units for BikeRush that were up here, they could have taken out, and, well, they could have taken out a couple of those separated units, and those Shard Walkers just do ridiculous amounts of damage to infantry. Of course, what they are very good at killing, not so good at killing the tanks, but when you got this many infantry all over the place, of course, going to be very, very useful. These units are going to be so good versus what BikeRush has, but BikeRush also going to be able to take out all of the infantry very, very easily, and KiMOsaBE really, he needs to expand. He needs to just kind of hold back, defend, and then expand on the back of it, so get his macro on, because that's the, he can only, well, in the long term, he's going to be able to win. BikeRush's best chance is going to be in this early game, because he cannot expand. So KiMOsaBE can just camp out a couple of units at these Tiberium fields, and just, well, if he doesn't rebuild his MCV, he can't, then they're in the same situation. But he can rebuild his MCV, and so KiMOsaBE actually might be able to clean this up right now. He might not even need to take this to the late game as these, but BikeRush being good on his micro with these units, being able to, just back him around the back of the War Factory, the Warp Sphere, and then, let them heal up, bring them back around, do some damage, able to take out a Predator tank. This is exactly what he needs to be doing, prolonging the life of his units far past what they would have been otherwise, although these mines from those APCs being used very effectively again and again, and of course, look at that Shard Walker comes out and is basically down to half health, although this army is almost dead. I want to say BikeRush can hold off this army, but then what is he going to have to follow this up with? Not a whole lot, as he is going to be stuck on that tier 1 basically forever, and KiMOsaBE dropping down those mines just like he should be, doing so good with those mines, and more Seekers are going to be coming out, but can they deal with this Predator tank, kind of a Predator tank stream, as we do have more and more Predator tanks coming down. I think KiMOsaBE will be able to wrap this up in the early game, so to speak, kind of mid-game as this game does dredge on, but just tier 1 units versus tier 1 units, massive amounts of damage, and if he can focus down the Harvesters, that will of course be a very big deal, as, no money, then no units. But these Harvesters are going to be able to drop off their Tribarium as KiMOsaBE is busy trying to kill all of the Seekers and all the other units. KiMOsaBE really needs to do something because this engagement isn't really doing too well for either player, although KiMOsaBE will most likely be able to hold this up for longer as he is not the one who has units in his base killing off his stuff. And KiMOsaBE going to be able to grab the Warp Sphere! KiMOsaBE able to grab the Warp Sphere! What can BikeRush do? BikeRush is good, but he's not magic. There's no way that he's going to be able to come back from this, especially since he's got 4 Seekers. He can't build anything. There we go. Zocom owns you. BikeRush owns. Has been defeated. Well done, KiMOsaBE. GG. Absolutely crazy game. Kind of really intense micro from both of these players. Really intense game from both of these players. Let's take a look at that resource graph. Not getting very high, but of course, it was a crazy game. Despite that, KiMOsaBE able to take it out in the end. GG. And this is Sybert signing out.